The Bible is a living word that reads us as we read it. It's a person, a voice that proves that time is not linear, as one sentence can confirm the past, guide the present, and declare the future. You are here. I am here. He is here. We are here right now, in the tomorrow of yesterday and in the yesterday of tomorrow. I thank you for joining today. So we're back. Thank you so much for joining once again. In our last episode, we talked about Jacob, the twin who conned his older brother out of his birthright and stole his blessing, who positioned Joseph, his favorite son out of 12, over his older brothers by giving Joseph a double portion of a blessing of the inheritance. And he did this by adopting Joseph's two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Jacob then positioned the youngest of Joseph's sons, Ephraim, before his older brother, Manasseh, by blessing him and essentially making him greater. So he's just getting all kinds of things out of order, but the blessing that belongs to you, right? So that's what we talked about. In the last episode, Jacob also gave his farewell speech to all of his sons, and he made it very clear to them that he did not want to be buried, or he didn't want to settle where he didn't belong. He made it very clear, this has been cool, this has been a haven, but this is not home. Bury me back in the land of Canaan, because that's the land that God promised us. And in that way, it was a reminder that the land of Canaan was covenant promise that God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hey, I'm giving this land to you. I'm giving this land to your descendants. And even in death, Jacob made it very clear, take me back home. So in this episode, Joseph and all of his brothers are grieving the loss of their father. And Joseph has his father Jacob embalmed, and they go through the mourning period. And then Joseph sent a message through Pharaoh's advisors, and he essentially told Pharaoh, "Hey, my pops died." And before he did, he made it very clear he didn't want to be buried here. He wanted to be buried back home. And with your permission, I would like to go back home and honor my father and his last wishes. And he's like, "Don't worry about it. If you will allow this, I'll get back here as soon as possible." And Pharaoh just let Joseph know, "Hey, yeah, go do whatever it is you got to do to take care of your pops, and we'll see you when you get back." And so Joseph, his household, his brothers, their households, the Egyptian senior officers, Pharaoh's officials, and the seniors of his household, it was a large group of people that traveled back to the land of Canaan. They all went back and they held a memorial service for Jacob before burying him in the cave that Abraham purchased from the Hittites as a permanent burial place for Abraham and for all of his family. And so once they all made it back to Egypt, Joseph's brothers proved that they didn't have faith in his forgiveness because they were fearful. It's like, oh, snap, y'all, Pops is gone. Like, Joseph has no reason to put up a front and be kind to us anymore because Pops isn't here to, make sure that he's keeping the peace. So what are we going to do? Because Joseph is definitely going to seek revenge now that Pops is gone. And so, interestingly enough, they tried to manipulate his mercy, and they sent a message to Joseph, and they're like, "Oh, bro, before your daddy died, he told us to tell you that you should really forgive us because, we weren't always right by you. We ain't always treat you right. We know we wronged you, but daddy said that you should forgive us." And when Joseph got the message, he just broke down crying. He wept, and he's just like, they still don't get it. They don't understand that I'm not harboring offense or resentment or bitterness toward them. His brothers ended up meeting up with him, and they just fell on their knees and just bowed before him, and they're like, "We'll be your slaves, like we just we so sorry, and we'll do whatever it is you want us to do." And Joseph's like, "What are you really afraid of? I'm not here to harm you. I'm not here to get back at you." And he let them know very clearly. He's like, what you intended for evil, or what you intended to do to harm me, God actually intended it for good, for all of our good. Because if you really think about it, your belly is filled because I'm here. And look at all the lives that were saved because I was in the right place at the right time. Now, let me pause right there. We go through things, we go through trials, we go through trauma, we go through offenses. People harm us and they reject us and they hurt us. But one thing that is abundantly clear in the story of Joseph and in our own narrative, if we really sit long enough to think about it, God kept his hand on Joseph and he has kept his hands on us. Even in a space of rejection, when Joseph was in a foreign place that was unfamiliar, around unfamiliar people, people who tried to manipulate him, people who exploited him because of his wisdom, because of his favor with God, people who set him up because of their own lust for him. God had his hand on him. And one of the beautiful things about this story, what's happening right now, is Joseph's recognition of the fact that God has and had his hand on him. And so the fact that he was able to say, I forgive you, because despite all of the things that I've been through, despite all of the hardship, despite all of the nights that I spent in prison, and the fact that somebody who I trusted and thought was a friend even put me in prison behind a lie, despite the fact that my own brothers hated me so much, God intended it for good. And he brought something beautiful out of it, in the fact that Joseph, in his wisdom and recognizing, hey, you're going to have a lot for several years, and then you're going to have very little for several years. So we need to implement a plan. Because of that, Joseph was able to feed nations, and lives were saved as a result of that. And so this is such a powerful redemption story. And Joseph very much could have been like, yeah, y'all wronged me, and just stayed in the past. And he had the right, but he didn't have the permission, because he recognized, like, God has been gracious to me. I'm going to be gracious to you. So he reminded his brothers of the power of forgiveness and just letting them know, I'm not even worried about any of that. You intended it for harm. God intended it for good. And that overpowers and outweighs any of your intentions. So anyhow, after Joseph let them know, like, I was in the right place at the right time, I imagine that his brothers were able to take a really, really deep breath, like, okay, okay, that's cool, bro. Like, that's what's up, like, that's all right, They kept living, life moved on, and they kept getting older and just doing life in Egypt. And Joseph lived to be 110 years old, and he got to see his own grandbabies from Manasseh and Ephraim. And Joseph ended up telling his brothers, he's like, I'm going to die. Like, I feel it. Like, I'm going to die here soon. And when I do, I just want you to know God is going to lead you back. He's going to lead you back to the land of Canaan that he promised. And I need you to promise me, when I go, I need you to promise that you're not going to leave me here. In the same way that Jacob was like, it's been a haven, but it's not home. Like, Egypt serves a purpose, but this isn't home. Don't even leave my bones here. When God leads you out of the land of Egypt, back to the land that he promised Papa Abraham, take my bones with you. And they promised. They're like, all right, cool. We'll make sure you're taken care of. And so in time, Joseph died. All his brothers died. Even Pharaoh died. But the Israelites, all of Joseph's family and his brother's family, they kept multiplying. They kept growing. And in numbers, they became more powerful. And they really started to fill the land that they occupied. Now, this became a problem because Pharaoh, or at least, again, because Pharaoh is a title, it's not a name, but the king of Egypt during the time of Joseph, the one who Joseph found favor with, that king, that Pharaoh died. Now there's a new king in position, and he had no emotional connection at all to Joseph or to the Israelites or any of that. And so when he noticed and picked up on the fact that they were starting to become very vast in numbers, he saw them as a threat. He's like, this could be a real problem, because what if war breaks out and these people decide to take the side of our enemy? We're going to be outnumbered. They're going to overpower us. So we need to do something about this. And so this Pharaoh, this king, decides to implement a plan to, as he would think, put the Israelites in their place, the Hebrews in their place. And I will stop there for now, and we'll get into what that really looks like in our next episode, if God should allow, give me the opportunity to record another episode. I am going to put a shameless plug right here, because we're about to get into the story of Moses. I wrote a book. It is called Moses, the Misfit, the Thug, the Called. And if you go to my website, imaginebiblestories.com, you can go to the shop and purchase your copy today of Moses, the Misfit, the Thug, the Called. And that way you will have the book to supplement the podcast episodes I'll do. I'm still going to talk about Moses, but it'll be a great supplement for you to have the book. And I'll even put a coupon code in the description for you to get a discount when you purchase that book at imaginebiblestories.com. I thank you so much for your support. Don't settle where you don't belong. Don't settle in a space. Don't settle in a land. Don't settle in a mindset. Don't settle in a relationship that is not what God promised you. Get home. Get home, whatever that looks like. Get home. Thank you again so much for your support. It has been incredible and an amazing journey up to this point, and I look forward to more. Until we meet again, bye for now.